What if the stories you've been told about ancient civilizations left out the most important one? Long before Atlantis, before the pyramids, there existed a land not built on stone or steel, but on frequency. A place where people didn't speak. They felt. Where technology wasn't mechanical, it was vibrational. And where life flowed in sacred harmony with the earth. This place was Lemuria. And if you've ever felt like you don't belong in this world, if you've ever longed for a gentler, purer way of living, it may be because your soul remembers it. In this video, you're not just going to learn the forgotten story of Lemuria. You're going to feel it awaken within you. Before Atlantis, before even recorded history, there was Lemuria, a civilization not founded on conquest or intellect, but on spiritual resonance and heart-based living. This wasn't a society obsessed with control or hierarchy. Instead, Lemuria flowed like water, intuitive, harmonious, and deeply connected to the natural rhythms of the earth. Every aspect of life was seen as sacred, from the breath of a tree to the pulse of the ocean. The Lemurians didn't just live in nature, they lived as nature. This was a civilization where love wasn't an emotion, but the foundation of reality. Their structures weren't built to dominate landscapes, but to blend with them, humming in resonance with the energies of the land. Cities were often situated near crystalline mountains and vast oceans, where the veil between dimensions was thinner. These people honored the feminine principle, not in gender, but in essence, fluidity, intuition, receptivity. Lemuria was balance in motion, a living embodiment of spiritualist ideals. Lemuria is often described as the archetype of divine potential, what humanity could be if it aligned with higher consciousness. Some spiritualists say it's encoded in our deepest longings, the dream of unity, peace, and effortless connection. The Lemurians didn't compete, they co-created. Their lives were less about survival and more about soulful expansion. They saw themselves as custodians of energy, not owners of things. Even the way they organized themselves reflected their inner world. There were no nations, no borders, only soul groups, vibrating at similar frequencies, working together in mutual respect. Elders weren't rulers, but wisdom keepers, holding space for the unfolding of each being's path. Children were regarded as pure light, with gifts to be remembered, not taught. The entire culture revolved around remembrance of who we are, where we came from, and why we're here. To understand Lemuria is to remember something ancient within us. It's not about believing in a lost land. It's about sensing the kind of world our soul knows is possible, a world where we don't just survive, but resonate. And perhaps this memory isn't just a fantasy. Perhaps it's a call, a vibration still echoing through our DNA, inviting us to rebuild the sacred from within. Most people hear the word Lemuria and instantly file it under myth or fiction. But for countless spiritualists, the resonance runs far deeper, like an echo from another lifetime. This isn't about scientific proof, but inner recognition. You don't learn about Lemuria, you remember it. It stirs something ancient within the soul, bypassing logic and speaking straight to your energy field. Many report dreams of a land covered in crystal light, or of singing with dolphins, or of walking barefoot on soft, glowing earth. These visions aren't just imagination, they're energetic imprints from lives long past, or from collective memory woven into our DNA. Lemuria isn't found in dusty textbooks. It's encoded in your spiritual blueprint. When you hear its name and feel emotion rise, that's memory awakening. Spiritual seekers often describe a deep longing they can't explain, a homesickness for a place they've never seen. That feeling may be the pull of Lemuria, calling you back not to a physical location, but to a vibration you once embodied. The yearning for unity, simplicity, and soul-aligned living isn't random. It's a spiritual breadcrumb trail, guiding you back to your divine origins. Even ancient traditions around the world, Hindu, Polynesian, Mayan, hold whispers of a sunken land of light, a paradise lost beneath rising waters. How could so many cultures share similar myths if there wasn't a deeper truth buried beneath the waves? Perhaps Lemuria was never meant to be remembered with the mind, but with the spirit, a kind of sacred download activated when the soul is ready. So if you've ever felt out of place in this world, if you've ever longed for peace without knowing why, maybe it's because a part of you still remembers Lemuria, not as fantasy, but as soul memory. And maybe that memory is returning now, because the world needs what Lemuria once was. In Lemuria, words were unnecessary. Communication happened through energy, thoughts, emotions, intentions, all transmitted in pure frequency. Imagine looking into someone's eyes and instantly feeling their truth without distortion or misunderstanding. This telepathic connection wasn't a skill for the few. It was the natural state of all beings aligned with higher vibration. Every encounter was heart to heart, soul to soul. Lemurians understood that language could limit truth, so they spoke through music, movement, and vibration. A song could heal grief. A shared silence could reveal lifetimes. Their temples weren't filled with scriptures, but with harmonic tones and living crystals that stored wisdom as frequency. Energy wasn't mystical. It was practical, tangible, and deeply respected. Even building homes involved singing materials into resonance. Technology in Lemuria wasn't mechanical, it was energetic. They used sound waves, crystal matrices, and focused intention to move objects, heal the body, and connect across distances. Their tools responded to consciousness, not to buttons or switches. Imagine a world where your emotions power machines, or where your breath activates healing chambers. That was normal life in Lemuria. This lifestyle fostered emotional intelligence. Because every thought had weight, every emotion had power, people cultivated purity in their inner world. You couldn't hide your feelings. Your energy field revealed all. So instead of suppressing or masking, Lemurians learned to process, transform, and express authentically. Their society was based on energetic transparency, not control. Many spiritualists today are reawakening this way of being. Practices like Reiki, sound healing, and crystal grids are echoes of Lemurian tech. Meditation, breathwork, and emotional attunement are ways to remember the lost art of vibrational living. The key is not to replicate their tools, but to restore the inner sensitivity that made those tools possible. Pause for a moment. If any part of this message is resonating with you, if something deep inside feels like it's waking up, drop a comment below. Have you ever felt connected to Lemuria? Do you think you might be one of the souls remembering it? I'd love to hear your thoughts, memories, or feelings. Let's create a sacred space in the comments where we all share and remember together. To understand how Lemurians lived is to glimpse what happens when spirit and matter dance in perfect harmony. Their entire society was a living mandala, where each being had a sacred role and every act was infused with intention. Gardening wasn't just survival, it was communion. Cooking wasn't routine, it was alchemy. Every moment, no matter how small, was a chance to honor the divine within life. Lemurians viewed the earth not as a resource, but as a conscious mother. They listened to her rhythms, aligned their days with lunar and solar cycles, and let intuition guide their actions. Cities were designed around energy vortexes and ley lines. Homes were built of living materials, stone, wood, and crystal, chosen not just for strength, but for vibration. Even water was blessed before drinking. Social structures were circular, not hierarchical. People gathered in soul groups, clusters of like-hearted beings with similar spiritual purposes. Each group had its own gifts: healing, teaching, dreaming, creating. But no role was above another. Elders held wisdom, but didn't control. Children were seen as ancient souls in small bodies, not blank slates, and every voice, regardless of age, mattered. This harmony extended to emotions and relationships. Conflict wasn't feared, it was embraced as energy out of balance, ready to be healed. Lemurians used sacred circles, intuitive dialogue, and energy work to clear distortions before they hardened into wounds. Love wasn't romanticized, it was the foundational current that connected all beings. They didn't need laws, they lived by resonance. And perhaps what we crave most today is this level of alignment, not just with others, but with life itself. Many spiritualists feel this echo, this call to simplify, to reconnect with earth and essence. Lemuria's way of life wasn't about escaping the world, it was about embodying it fully, with reverence. Maybe that's what our souls are remembering now. No civilization, no matter how divine, exists forever in the physical. Lemuria, too, had its descent, but not necessarily in the way we're taught to imagine. Some traditions speak of great earth changes, tsunamis, volcanic shifts, tectonic collapses. Others say it was a conscious retreat, a spiritual choice to dissolve their physical presence when the world began vibrating at a denser frequency. Either way, the Lemurians did not vanish, they transformed. Before the fall, they encoded their wisdom into crystals, temples, and even human DNA. These weren't just pretty stones or sacred sites. They were information storage devices holding frequencies of love, unity, and cosmic truth. Some say places like Mount Shasta, Easter Island, and Hawaii are remnants of this ancient culture. Others believe we carry their codes in our own energetic blueprint, waiting to be activated. The fall of Lemuria wasn't a punishment, it was a passage. Like a soul leaving the body, their culture transcended form to seed the future. They knew their legacy would awaken when humanity was ready to remember, so they hid truths not in books, but in light, hidden in sound, in intuition, in the resonance of the heart. That's why we can feel Lemuria more than we can prove it. Even Atlantis, which came after, was influenced by Lemurian wisdom, though it eventually leaned into the masculine technological path. Where Atlantis sought power through mastery, Lemuria sought peace through surrender. The balance was lost, and humanity spiraled into cycles of control and separation. But the Lemurian essence never died. It went underground, literally and spiritually. Today, many spiritualists believe we are at the tipping point once again. As the planet shifts and consciousness rises, Lemuria's codes are reawakening. The fall wasn't the end of a civilization, it was the beginning of a long, sacred remembering. And that remembrance is happening now, through you. Lemuria isn't just a lost land, it's a living archetype, pulsing in the collective subconscious. While Atlantis symbolizes the masculine pursuit of logic, progress, and control, Lemuria embodies the divine feminine, intuition, emotion, nurturing, and surrender. This isn't about gender, it's about energy. The two must dance together. But for centuries, Lemuria's wisdom has been buried under layers of noise and reason. In today's hyper-rational world, we've elevated intellect and suppressed intuition. We build systems, but forget to feel. Lemuria reminds us of another way, leading from the heart, not the head. In its culture, feelings weren't signs of weakness. They were sacred messengers. Intuition wasn't doubted, it was trusted. This archetype calls us to reclaim these spiritual gifts, to unlearn the belief that logic alone defines truth. To embody Lemuria is to slow down and listen, to the earth, to your dreams, to the silent wisdom within. It's in the way you tend a garden, the care in your voice, the stillness between thoughts. This archetype invites you to live from softness, not force, presence, not productivity. It says you don't have to strive, just align. That shift in energy changes everything. You can feel Lemuria rising through the feminine awakening, sweeping the planet. More people are embracing energy healing, holistic living, emotional honesty, and sacred rest. These aren't trends, they're symptoms of soul memory returning. We are beginning to value gentleness, empathy and energetic awareness again, not as luxury, but as necessity. So when you feel the call to cry without knowing why, when you find yourself pulled toward the ocean or the stars or inner stillness, you may be touching the Lemurian archetype within. It's not just a memory, it's a blueprint, one we're being invited to embody again. Some people walk this earth with an unshakable sense that they don't belong, not out of despair, but because they remember something more. These are the ones drawn to healing, to the mysteries of the ocean, to the night sky and ancient wisdom. They cry during sunsets, talk to plants, or feel people's emotions before a word is spoken. These are often Lemurian souls, beings who once walked in light and now return to guide humanity back to it. You might recognize them by their sensitivity, their deep empathy, their discomfort with modern chaos. They crave stillness, authenticity, and connection. Many are intuitives, empaths, artists, or energy workers, pulled toward practices like Reiki, sound healing, astrology, and dream work without ever knowing why. These callings are not hobbies, they're soul echoes, ripples from lives lived in Lemurian vibration. Lemurian souls often reincarnate during times of planetary transition, like now. They're not here to dominate or fix, but to remind. Their presence itself is a frequency. Just by being in a room, they shift energy. They may struggle with harsh systems or feel overwhelmed in crowds because their energy is wired for resonance, not resistance. It's not a weakness, it's a sacred design. Many feel an inexplicable love for water, oceans, lakes, rivers, because water holds memory. And Lemuria was deeply aquatic. Others are obsessed with stars, sensing that their soul's home isn't just on Earth. Some have dreams of ancient temples, luminous cities, or floating above golden landscapes. These aren't fantasies, they're fragments of soul memories surfacing at last. If you've ever felt like you were here before, or that you carry a message that has no words, you might be a Lemurian soul. And the truth is, you're not alone. The others are waking up too. And as you remember, so will they. In today's chaotic world, Lemuria's message feels more urgent than ever. We live in a time of noise, speed, and distraction, yet beneath it all, our souls whisper a different rhythm. Lemuria calls us not to escape the world, but to reorient within it, to live slowly, intentionally, to choose love over fear, connection over control. It's a call to return, not to a place, but to a frequency. Many spiritualists are beginning to heed this call. Through meditation, grounding, energy work, or simply pausing to breathe, they're remembering that life isn't meant to be a struggle, but a flow. That healing doesn't happen through force, but surrender. That wisdom isn't found in algorithms, but in intuition. These are not new ideas. They are ancient truths, pulsing in our bones. Incorporating Lemurian wisdom today might mean planting a garden with intention, blessing your food with gratitude, or turning your phone off to sit under the moon. It might mean crying when you need to, or creating art that speaks to the soul. The point isn't to recreate Lemuria, it's to live its vibration in your modern life. Presence is the portal, feeling is the compass, love is the guide. We are not separate from Lemuria. We are the continuation of its dream. As global systems crumble and the old paradigms fade, a new world begins to rise, not from politics, but from consciousness. A world where softness is power, where spirit leads, where the earth is sacred again. And that world begins inside of us. So when you feel that inner tug to slow down, to trust your heart, to live differently, don't ignore it. That's Lemuria speaking through you. It's not just a story, it's a memory returning, and you are part of its awakening. Lemuria isn't about the past, it's about how you live now. Every time you pause to listen, breathe with presence, or choose compassion over chaos, you're embodying that ancient vibration. You don't need to escape to a mountaintop to be Lemurian. You just need to remember, start small. Spend time in nature with no agenda. Practice silence. Create beauty with intention. Trust your intuition even when it makes no sense. These are not just spiritual trends, they're doorways back to the divine harmony Lemuria held, and that frequency is still alive in you. So I leave you with this. What if your sensitivity is a gift? What if your longing is a map? And what if your remembering is exactly what this world needs right now? If this video stirred something deep within you, a memory, a feeling, a knowing, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe, tap the bell, and join this community of awakening souls. Together, we're weaving ancient light into modern life.